For me, the one thing that I found quite challenging about the IB was definitely about time management. I was not the best with time management at the time.
Firstly, a few strategies for coping with deadlines. I'd recommend finding out when everything is due early on. So just ask your teachers and be aware so that you can plan everything well in advance. Use a planner and note down all your deadlines if that helps you visualize your timeline a little bit better.
It's really having a system where I knew what I had to do and what the time frame was, and I could prioritize what to do. That was a big challenge, but it was something that also developed through my years at IB, and I definitely think with these skills here at university has helped me stay organized and really just manage all of the increase in the workload that you experience once you go to this level. And it's tremendously helpful. So it's very important that you actually start to practice that. It is something that is challenging, but just like a good challenge, once you slowly get into the pace of it, it becomes less inachievable. So definitely take your time with it, and it's going to help you tremendously here at university. And I almost want to say that, at least considering the friends that I have who also study at the IB here at the University of Oxford, is that most of the IB students tend to be a bit more organized with their workload. And I'm not really sure if this is, anything set in stone, but just take this with a pinch of salt and, really try to work on your organization skills and your deadlines and so on.
Moving on to IAs, make sure your IAs are as complete as possible when you hand them in for feedback. That way you're going to get more meaningful feedback from your teachers. And generally use your teachers' expertise as much as possible because they are there to help you and they know what a successful IA is supposed to look like.
Always try to get more drafts in and uh, try to give your drafts to the teachers because they are very supportive of your IAs and because they also want you to do well. So, doing more drafts and working on them early, having a good idea of what you want to do and following it through is, in my opinion, the best advice I can give you.
Now, for your extended essays, you need to choose a topic that you're going to enjoy. So don't pick something because you think it's challenging and that it'll look impressive, because this doesn't actually matter. Your approach, your justification of your approach, and your analysis, your recognition of strengths and limitations are what you're actually going to be graded on. Obviously, if you pick a topic that you care about, you're going to put in more effort into it and it won't be tiring or horrible for you to research about. Overall, you do better in things that you enjoy. Also, when choosing your topic, think about what you want to study at university and maybe direct your extended essay towards that, because this will give you something quite impressive to speak about in your personal statements for university.
In relation to the extended essay, I'd recommend completing the research by the end or close to the end of the summer break between grade 11 and grade 12 because then you have much more free time in the beginning of grade 12 to complete your IAs and focus more and dedicate more time into those.
Just like the IAs, use your supervisors as much as possible and ask them loads of questions if you're ever in doubt. Also, make a timeline with your supervisor on when you need to complete certain milestones, such as experiments, certain readings, or research, to when you should complete which paragraphs of your essays and things like that. The best advice I can give you for actually writing your IA is when you're doing your research and taking notes, to always note down the source for the information that you're taking notes for. Because when you put everything together to actually write your essay, it will make referencing easier. It's more efficient because you won't have to waste time going through your sources again, and you don't risk forgetting to reference something by accident. So just have a separate document with your quotes or information and where they're from.
And finally, for studies and the exams, I'd recommend starting early, working on the content that you're not so confident with, uh, and then starting off with those, and then towards the end, you have to try to work on those and also the ones you're more comfortable with, and like that, you'll be more confident when you go into the exams, and you're also much more aware of everything.
Another challenge that I definitely think the IB poses is that you are doing so many different subjects at the same time. If you were to compare that with any other system in the world, they mostly focus on 3 or 4 subjects, but whereas we do 3 to a very high level, and then other 3 to a substantial level as well. And so kind of trying to balance the different tasks that your brain has to undertake is very challenging at first, but once you get into the pace of it, it becomes rewarding. Because on one hand, you might be, say, working on a maths worksheet, but you also have this essay to work on. It seems a bit daunting at first, but the ability to switch between the 2 types of thinking really refreshes your mind and makes it feel less tedious. So trying to get into the groove with these kind of things, and knowing when is a good time to switch between doing the 2 tasks, and knowing how to balance the 2 and allow it to kind of to synthesize and create new knowledge is going to help you a lot down the road, especially at university.
Lastly, some advice on your CAS. Start working on your CAS as early as possible. I'm not sure if it's different for the IB now, but do as much CAS hours in year 1 as you possibly can. You don't want to be spending time on CAS in your second year of your IB, because you do want to dedicate that to studying as much as possible.